Story 1. Am I the asshole for refusing to name my baby after a dead girl at 25? Female and my husband, 27 male, have a complicated history together, especially concerning his family. I met him on a blind date when we were both in college, and he asked me to be his girlfriend on our second date. He's always been sweet, trying to be considerate of my feelings, especially when it comes to his family. His mother has always been against our relationship from the start, mostly due to the reasons I think I might be the asshole here. He had a friend, let's call her Annie, who passed away when he was a teenager. He's always been close with her, and he always insisted they were platonic. However, his mother always talked about how they were supposed to get married as adults, and I was his second choice, and he wouldn't have married me if she was alive. It's always hurt in all honesty, and I've tried as hard as I can to be accommodating for her and her grief, as she cared about Annie a lot and was even friends with her mother. Annie was a great girl, and I do wish I could have gotten to know her, but it hurts being constantly compared to the woman my husband could have been with, especially since we already have a son, who his mother isn't allowed to see because of her insistence that he's not her real grandbaby because he isn't Annie's. So this is where I think I probably overreacted and could be the asshole. We found out 2 months ago that we were having a baby girl, and we were ecstatic. I was worried he'd be one of those boy-only fathers, but he almost cried finding out we'd have a girl. Our son is also over the moon, constantly talking to his sister and asking for her name, which has become an issue, as he recently asked to name our daughter after Annie, which was upsetting, especially since his mother is so hung up about them being together. We ended up arguing slightly, and I'm currently staying with my son at a friend's house. Am I overthinking this? I just don't know what to do. His mom has been blowing up my messages. I don't even know how she got my messenger. Me and him haven't spoken to her since our son's first birthday, and my mama has just told me to stop arguing over it and just let him choose her name. Since she's his only daughter, any advice is appreciated. I need a non-biased opinion. My friend says that I was overreacting for leaving, but I just needed time for myself, and I don't want to confront him right now. I know I can be sensitive without realizing. So many input is appreciated, minor edit first. I wanted to thank everyone who answered. Sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy, feeling like I do. Please tell me if I missed anything. There's too many comments to sort through. Annie died at 18 in an accident, and yes, her and my husband's mothers were friends. Me and my husband met when I had recently started college, and we got married a year later. Our son is 3. My husband always defends and stands up to his mother when it comes down to it. I know he cares about me, but I worry sometimes if he'll subconsciously start believing what she says. I know I'm his wife. I'm the woman he married and has kids with, but it's hard not to feel secondary. Sometimes my husband works a lot, and at the moment I wasn't thinking straight, but thinking about it, I think it was a better choice to take him as. I don't want him to be left alone by himself. I won't argue if he wants to see him or wants to pick him up in his free time. I'm just not ready to speak to him at the moment, as in for compromise. After reading through some comments, I think using any name similar to Anne might be an issue. While I understand the sentiment is sweet, I don't want to feel pressured into a name that I know I'll regret. Story 2. Am I the asshole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she stole my baby name throwaway? Because my sister's on here, all right? Reddit buckle up because this one's a doozy. So my 28-year-old sister and I have always had a rocky relationship. She's always been the golden child. While I'm basically the black sheep of the family growing up, she was the straight A student, the prom queen, and the one who got a full scholarship to some fancy college while I was, well, just me. Fast forward to now. I'm 6 months pregnant with my first child, a little girl. I've had a name picked out since I was like 12 years old, Isla Grace. It's a name that has so much meaning to me. Isla is a nod to our Scottish heritage, and Grace was the name of my best friend who passed away in high school. I've told my sister, my mom, my dad, and literally anyone who would listen that I was going to name my daughter Isla Grace. They all knew how important this name was to me. A few months ago, my sister got engaged. Her wedding is in 2 weeks, and everything's been about her as usual, whatever I'm used to it. But last week, during a family dinner, she casually announces that they've chosen their baby name for when they have kids. She's not pregnant. BTW. And guess what she says? Isla. Grace. I honestly thought she was joking at first, but nope, she's dead serious. When I confronted her about it, she acted like it wasn't a big deal and said, well, you don't own the name. Besides, I think it sounds pretty with my last name. Excuse me, I nearly lost it. I told her she was being selfish and that she knew how much that name meant to me. She just shrugged and said, I was overreacting. I was so pissed that I told her if she was going to use the name, I wouldn't attend her wedding. My parents are freaking out, calling me immature and telling me to just let it go because there are other names out there. My mom even had the nerve to say, it's just a name. Sweetie, don't ruin your sister's big day over this. Now, my whole family's mad at me, and I'm being treated like the villain for even considering skipping the wedding. My husband supports me, but he also thinks we should just go to keep the peace. I'm torn between wanting to stand my ground and feeling like maybe I'm blowing things out of proportion. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she stole my baby name? Or should I just suck it up and let her have her way again? Story 3. Am I the asshole for banning my wife from naming our baby after her dead best friend, my 28 male wife? 28. Female is estranged from her family and has been since a teenager. She met Eva in school and they were inseparable with Eva, letting my wife stay over a lot as well as providing a constant source of support. I met my wife at university. Unfortunately, Eva died suddenly a year into our relationship. I had met her a few times, and she was lovely. My wife was understandably devastated. 2 years ago, we married, and she took my last name, Brown. Our baby girl is due in the spring, and understandably, my wife wants to honor Eva in her name. This is something that she has said throughout the relationship. I was happy with the idea of honoring her, and we have discussed baby names throughout the relationship and pregnancy. The leading name we were tossing about was a place name that had significant memories to them. Yesterday, she came up to me and said that she had a dream about Eva, asking her to remember her. By her name, she had some like this around the time Eva died, but none recently to my knowledge. And to memorialize her, our baby must be called Eva. I said, absolutely no way. She said, why not? And I reminded her of the historical figure Eva Brown, pronounced Brown, wife of probably one of history's most evil figures, and reassured her that we will tell our kids about Aunt Eva, and she'll always be remembered. But my wife refused, saying it has to be her name. She says few will make the link to the historical character, and she won't be bullied at school. She said she had fell out with the place name, and a family member has had a baby recently with a similar name. Think Brooke to Brooklyn. I suggested things to do with Eva, such as her birthstone, or honoring her through a middle name, or even names that had Eve Eva in anything but Eva itself. She started crying and said that she won't name the baby anything else, and it's the ultimate way Eva can live on. I said, it's a shitty situation, and if we had literally any other surname, we would, but I literally can't. Not only am I extremely morally opposed, I work in a field where if there was wind that I named my child Eva Brown, my work could be at risk. She's saying I'm making excuses and not supporting her, as she is putting in a lot of effort to having this baby. This resulted in a fight, and now I am on the couch for the second night. Now, some of our friends are saying I'm being dramatic, but my sister, the mother of Brooke, is telling me that if she continues to register the baby without her, to be honest, I'm leaning that way. If she continues not to compromise, I'm really not sure what to do. Am I the asshole for not wanting to name my baby? Ava relevant comments. Can you use your wife's maiden name? My wife is estranged from her family and was very eager to drop her maiden name. She has said that name makes her think of her horrible past. I know she would not ever change her name back, let alone name a child with it. She is also really close to my family, who took her as one of their own and when we met, due to her situation. We are UK, so yes, she could have kept the name if she wanted to. She is estranged from her family and has been for 10 years. Her family don't know where she is or of my existence. She had a common first, but a distinct maiden name, so wanted to swap to my obviously rather common name. Not only because she wants no ties to that name, but also so they could not find her, as they are very dangerous people. This is also why we will not consider comments about swapping to her maiden name, OP's profession, and why people would know I work as a history teacher in a very liberal school, and Nazis is a decent chunk of the curriculum for some of my older students. Not that I would share my personal life in depth to the students, my colleagues in SMT would definitely ask about it. I hope to rise the ranks at this school, so I don't want to affect that. I also have a cousin who is one of my older students, so there is a risk of students and de facto parents finding out my baby's name that way if her friends ask. Braun is pronounced. Brown in German, so people who know history will know. Yes, I am based in the UK, and I teach the Nazis in my syllabus. While my German is very basic and picked up from a couple of weeks traveling, plus some of the vocab I've come across. In my job, I thought Braun was pronounced with a similar AU sound to Hauptmann, or Augen. Correct me if I'm wrong? Just curious editor's note, in case you were wondering. Eva Braun was Hitler's wife.